1997 Polaris Express 400. I think I might be one of the first people to ever build one of these quads, but anyways, in today's video we got some interesting fab projects, and at the end of the video we'll do some full throttle pulls for the first time, so stick around. Well, I tried to make the Nerf bars work with just nuts and bolts, but it's just not going to be possible. I'm going to have to weld it. So we got to prep these surfaces so I can actually start welding on there. So I already took the primary clutch off because I don't want to get weld all over that or spatter all over that. But secondary did not want to come off. So I am just going to start using my wire wheel. All right, let's get this thing cleaned up. Okay, so now that we have this cleaned off, I should probably clean off this angle iron, now that I think about it. Alright, so now we can actually bolt this thing up to do some tacks. So also before we throw some tacks on there, come to find out my holes I drilled were not square to the main tubing of the frame. So I gotta straighten this out real fast and then I'll tack it on. Alright, so that looks like it's about square, so I'm going to throw some tacks on, and then we can, I guess, weld this thing out. Alright. Kind of nervous for this, but I am going to put it on the inside in here, so if it looks bad, nobody sees it. But here goes nothing, I guess. So just to, do my due diligence, I'm gonna remeasure once again, and assuming they're still all good, I'll weld it out. All right, good to go. I'm gonna weld these things out, I guess. Super nervous because I just got this welder 2 weeks ago, and I also welded for the first time 2 weeks ago. So this probably will not be pretty, but I'm gonna do it anyways. I just know that weld looks heinous. All right. Now for the other side. Alright, so now that I've welded out the bottoms, I'm going to throw a little gusset behind the actual mounting point, just because this does flex a little bit, so should give it some strength. And maybe I should add another, but I'm not a fabricator and I don't know. So if you think I should, let me know. Alright, got our gusset placed in, but I need to move you guys out of the way so I can actually weld this thing out. So I'll catch back up with you once it's in. Alright, so basically I forgot to say anything here, but as you can see, because I'm painting it, I welded the gusset in, everything went well, and it took all the flex out of there. So anyways, that's that. Alright, all finished up. I'm not showing you my welds because they're pretty bad, but didn't flex, so count that as a win. Okay, so this side is going to be a bit more complicated because we have our transmission mounted brake here, which horrible design, but anyways, so we gotta leave enough room in here so this floating disc can move around. And as you can hear right now, there's not enough room. So I need to determine basically how far away this thing needs to be in order to actually be able to work. So I'm gonna start by taking some measurements. 56. Alright, so we had a bit of a binding issue actually putting on the nerf bars, and the reason why is because this side is actually closer to the frame, so I need to scoot it out just a tiny bit. And but yeah, I guess I better grab some clamps so I can actually do this. I'm just gonna take this whole bracket off. Basically, the holes on this side are completely worthless because I drilled them too close. So I'm just gonna have to clamp this thing down. When I tack it in place. Alright, so same thing as the other side. I'm gonna get in here, clean up my surfaces so I can actually weld. And I guess that's really all there is to it. I'm gonna wire wheel all this stuff off, and then I'm gonna and then I'll fit up our bracket and make sure everything fits with the brake, tack it in place, and then I'm gonna take this brake assembly off so I can actually weld everything out. And I think that should be it. So I'm gonna stop talking and start grinding. Alright, got everything cleaned up, so now we just gotta determine how far away we need to be. Alright, I've got a better way of doing this, but I need to move you guys out of the way. So basically, I'm an idiot, and I ripped my tacks off, and I had to redo everything you just saw me do again. I'm gonna pull the brake out and weld this out. Alright, I got everything mocked up on here. So now what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put some triangle gussets right here on each of these pegs to give this some rigidity because it still has quite a bit of flex to it. So I'm gonna go start grinding. Went and cut out these little gussets right here, and then, oop, don't want to drop it. But so these will just go right here, connecting off the frame onto our bar stock. Sorry, the lighting's terrible, but you kind of get the idea. So I'm just gonna put 2 of those on, one right here, obviously, and then another one right there, and should be good. So I'm gonna square this up, and then I'll throw some weld on there. Alright, I'm gonna have to move you guys out of the way for this next one. Alright, so I'm gonna throw on our foot peg again and make sure everything still lines up good. And then if so, we'll go ahead and paint this. As you can see, we took our little crossbar out here. Just gonna wire wheel this off. Then we'll mock everything up, tack it, then weld it out. Quickly turning into a horrible camera angle, so I apologize. Okay, I got our front mount tightened up, and it is obviously welded in place now. I think it's a whole lot stronger. Okay, now that we have the front welded up, I'm gonna paint it real fast. There's not really a good camera angle, so I'll do that off camera. But I'll catch back up with you when we're actually finally finished with the nerf bars, which long overdue, very long overdue. Alright, well, my tools are scattered all over the place, and it's quite a mess out here, but finally got them mounted up, like permanently. It feels quite nice. Mounts, I think, look pretty good. Front one's, the paint is still wet, so ignore that. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with how it turned out. And there's not much left to it. now that everything's welded on here, I'm gonna go ahead and take off the nerf bars and put our brakes on and go from there. Please. Now we put our foot peg back on. So I mentioned in the last video I was having trouble bleeding the brakes, and it was because I didn't have a proper bleed screw because I broke ours off whenever I was originally taking these off. So I picked one of those up and put that on real fast. This should allow us to bleed our brakes this time. The issue I was having last time, aside from the not having a bleeder valve up there, I couldn't get fluid to come through the lines, so I'm hoping this vacuum pump kit can help me pull some fluid through. So we'll see what happens. My friend has a scrambler and we had a lot of issues with his braking system, so I'm hoping that is not the case for us. So let's try this out. Yeah, that vacuum pump did not help at all. So my brother and I just ended up bleeding the brakes like you normally would. Just pumped it up a whole bunch till fluid pushed, and we bled the brakes together. Okay, same thing. Alright, same thing. Alright, same thing. Jeez. In my frustration, I failed to properly explain what just happened. So that little plunger that popped out is originally the OEM foot brake. So you push your pedal down and it'd push that plunger in, and that'd be your rear brake. So it's not held in by anything, and that's why when I started bleeding the brakes, it just popped out on me and made a huge mess. Alright, well, I guess I'm just going to cut this in half and then make a strap across that holds it in place. Because apparently this did not work anything how I thought it did. So I'm going to go do that now. Alright, got it shortened down. So hopefully this won't leak now. I'm hoping. I'll just put a strap over that. Alright, I had to oval up the holes a little bit to make it fit, hopefully. Alright, I pulled the bracket off, and I think I have a plan to make this look less terrible. I think if I take the height of this little nub here and add 2 of its lengths onto there, plus a couple extra millimeters, we'll be able to put 90-degree bends in there, so that way the bar will sit flush where the hardware mounts up, and I think that'd look a lot better. So I'm gonna go measure this out and cut it, and we'll see if that actually works. There we go. Now we can bend this up. Alright, I think I'm gonna have to cut and weld this to get the tabs to stick out. I thought I could bend it, but I just don't know how I'm gonna do that. But I don't know, I think it looks good at least. I don't know how well you'll be able to see my actual welding process, but these are three pieces. Basically, I'm just gonna put them like this, and then yeah, that's pretty much it. Well, as I said, the camera angles just weren't working out for the welding, so I welded it up, drilled the holes, and painted it, and slapped it on there, and you know what? I'll take it. I'm sure a lot of you guys could do better than me, but it's like I don't know, one of my first fabrication projects. So I'll take it. But either way, I also went ahead and bled the brakes off camera just because I had to have my little brother help me. So now that the brakes are bled, I went ahead and threw the plastics on just because our next step actually is throwing on, or I guess not throwing on, but building some fender supports, which is going to be pretty interesting. Just because previously the footwells, like the OEM ones, would hold the fenders up, and we don't have those anymore. So, anyways, I figured now that our brakes are bled, we're gonna take this thing out and open it up a bit. Our first test drive was pretty slow. I want to actually give this thing the beans. So I'm gonna go do that now. I didn't exactly think things through whenever I took it out to open it up a bit, and I thought there was reflective tape on the inside of the fender here, but there is not where the where it was touching. So now I have melted plastic on my very expensive chrome pipe that I don't know how to get off. So if you have any recommendations on how to get it off, please let me know, because I paid a lot of money to get this thing chromed. But anyways, I think I'm gonna go ahead and wrap it up here. Gonna be an interesting fabrication project for the next video. But if you did enjoy the video, please consider liking and subscribing. It means a lot to me, and I'll catch you next time.